Conference championship weekend is here, y'all. Let's get it.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Our intent was to eat. Our intent was to come eat and be hungry.
We're taking receipts, and we'll see you at the national championship.
Lane Kiffin's soundbite in there eventually. Welcome back, everybody, to the South End Zone. My name is Tyler, joined always by my good friend Chad. Before we get anything, I want to make sure to let everybody know to like, share, comment, subscribe. We appreciate everybody stopping by the live last weekend. That was a lot of fun.
Yep.
Conference championship weekend. Like I said last week, just like Thanos says in Marvel, you can run from it, you can hide from it. Destiny arrives all the same. I'm inevitable. And we are once again playing Alabama in the SEC championship tomorrow in Mercedes-Benz. This is the matchup of 8 out of the last 10 or something ridiculous like that. It was just something wild. I forget what the number is, but it's like us and Bama have been I think it's 8 out of the last 10 because we played y'all twice in back-to-back years in the SEC championship. But yeah, here we are. Conference championship weekend. The committee says that these losses can't hurt you. The wins kind of help, and then they also said that the teams that are sitting idle could still potentially move, which is kind of wild.
Yeah.
Selection Sunday is vastly approaching. So yeah, we're here. Let's get right into it.
Look, what's funny about all this is that they say that losing the championship doesn't hurt you or can't hurt you because you're playing a game that someone else doesn't have to play. But I think they're lying a little bit.
But it's more tape.
I think if you guys put it on Alabama, they could possibly be pushed out.
As we so famously do all the time, right?
Because there's a lot of tightness in that, 10 through 15. You've got BYU, Texas, Miami, all right there, just kind of nipping at your heels and at Notre Dame's heels. And we've already talked about Miami versus Notre Dame and the fact that BYU is right in between as this firewall protecting Notre Dame. So that Notre Dame can't get in. It can't get pushed out by Miami, who beat them head to head. But the way that they have talked about this, if they end up adjacent to each other, and it's this 2-loss team against this 2-loss team, and they're going to go to head to head, and I think you'll see Miami and Notre Dame flip. But if Alabama beats you guys, they can't say that it doesn't hurt you because I guarantee you're not going to get a first round bye.
We're playing for a bye.
So it is going to absolutely matter, and I think the SEC doesn't get any first round buys if you lose. Unless somehow Ole Miss slips in. Yeah, Ole Miss could slip in.
No, people think that Alabama could vault if
there's no way Alabama. No, I don't see that happening. I don't see Alabama jumping over Ole Miss.
Yeah.
If Ole Miss is not,
I don't know. They're ready to kick Ole Miss out. I feel like they're like, oh, your coach is gone.
A little bit, and let's real quick before we get into the actual games. Because we talked about this in our show recapping the week and the hiring of Lane Kiffin and all that at the beginning of the week. Ole Miss fans, I want you to explain to me how Lane Kiffin absolutely cannot coach. It is unconscionable to even consider that he could possibly coach because, obviously he's going to be talking to players, recruiting players, talking to coaches, recruiting coaches. He's going to poach everything.
It's that.
Absolutely not. You can't do that. But then all these other coaches, number one, can do it. John Sumrall, Alex will go.
They're literally playing tomorrow. They're literally playing each other this weekend.
Right. So, but here's what's crazy about it. Ole Miss practically begged us to give them Charlie Weiss Jr. back temporarily to be their offensive coordinator.
That's crazy. Y'all literally loaning him. Literally set him back on
our offensive coordinator.
Soccer.
It's Lane Kiffin's LSU's coach. He can't possibly be the coach for Ole Miss now. Like, well, John Sumrall is the Florida coach. He's still coaching Tulane.
Yeah,
Eric Moore is the Oklahoma State coach. He's still coaching North Texas.
They booed all the guys who got on the plane and then said, "Oh, come on back for a sec."
Yes, but Charlie Weiss, he can't talk to the players and recruit them. He can't talk to other coaches.
Yeah, that's for you're literally letting him back in the building.
You're letting him like you literally are like letting a spy back in the building on purpose. When you said this is no way, you LSU fans are stupid if they think that Ole Miss should let Lane Kiffin back on the sidelines, saying there's no way. And then they were saying, well, it's different from Tulane and North Texas because it's a bitter rival. Well, so Charlie Weiss isn't the offensive coordinator for your bitter rival? Like, where none of this shit makes sense. You're making stuff up.
Other than it's the projecting on Lane Kiffin.
Did Charlie Weiss divorce the family and move to the what? How does this work?
I keep hearing like that dog is not actually Lane Kiffin's dog, and it's just like a fake Twitter account, and that dog is going to stay in Oxford and shit like that. It's just
right. No, there's all kind of crazy stuff. But I'll say this: I wish Ole Miss the best. I know that their only chance that they had, if they had any kind of offense, was to get Charlie Weiss to come back and have some sort of offensive continuity. And don't be surprised, though, if Trinidad Chambliss, if he gets another year of eligibility, Kewan Lacey, there's a couple other guys who are being rumored and rumbled to possibly make the jump to LSU after this season's over with. But I wish Ole Miss the best. I want the SEC to do well. I'm not going to root against anybody except Alabama. And so go get it.
The game is going to be so live when y'all play each other next year. That game's
it's going to be in Oxford too.
Unbelievable. Oh, is it really? That's worse.
We have to play them in Oxford back to back because they're doing the whole restructure of the SEC schedule. So Lane Kiffin's going back to Oxford next year.
Oh, man.
I'm going to that game. I will be there.
Man, that's going to be unbelievable.
Yeah.
Also, Ole Miss fans got too much time on their hands to drive to a small private airport and boo him for 10 seconds as he walks to the plane.
Aren't y'all supposed to be getting ready for the playoffs?
Yeah, that's
priorities,
crazy.
People. Priorities.
Yeah, your team is still actively about to play in the postseason, but I digress.
Speaking of the postseason, let's get to it. It's conference championship weekend, and you guys have. You guys are you familiar with this team? They're in Tuscaloosa,
Alabama.
Ambalamba.
Abalama. That sounds familiar. I believe there's a song about that somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I think Leonard Skinner once sung about that. Okay, yeah. Okay, that's coming back to me now. Yeah.
It's coming back to you.
I believe that we played this team before, not in Kirby's tenure, definitely not 8 times. But yeah, so we play Alabama once again this weekend in the Benz. What a shock. Like I said, it's inevitable. I don't really wear jerseys that much on this show, but I am channeling one of the players who did actually beat Alabama in his time here at UGA, Brock Bowers, Rookie of the Year tight end. Need it, especially because that was part of the year where they beat us first and we beat them second. So this is our second meeting. I'm trying to channel all of the good vibes, energy I can into this game. Right off the bat, I think some big things are going to play a factor in this game for both sides. One, we were going to be without, like I talked about it last week, and we were going to be without our starting center, Drew Bobo. That's going to be kind of a pretty big loss, especially at the front of our attack, as well as just play calling and and just it was a true fresh. I forget who we put in last weekend. I think it was it was one of them. It's all a bunch of young guys who we have as options, and there was a couple of blocks against the Georgia Tech defense. So we'll have to see how we fare there. But on the Bama side, some very key and injuries for them. LT Overton, the guy who played spoiler to our 4th and 1 play call in Athens earlier in the year, will not be playing. And I believe it was an official, or at least they're highly doubtful now that Josh Cuevas, tight end, which is massive for us,
that's big time,
will not be playing. And I think that Jam Miller is still as questionable. So Cuevas alone is
the Jam Miller thing is interesting because Alabama has struggled to run the ball all season.
Right.
And to the extent that they've been able to, it's either him or Daniel Hill, but they still it's a crapshoot, man. And I wonder too about Grubb and his willingness to commit to it because I feel like sometimes even when they'll bust off a couple of runs and then they'll go right back to Ty Simpson. And I'm here to tell you, I've got a couple of Alabama fans, like diehard Alabama fans,
Yeah.
at the place that I go to work at in Mississippi, which I was trolling the hell out of them this week, the Mississippi guys. But those two like diehard Alabama fans cannot stand Ty Simpson.
Really?
Yes. They think he's terrible. They think he sucks. They can't stand him. They think they're going to lose. And this is like, you got to understand, Alabama fans do not do the we're going to lose.
Yeah, I've never
thing.
heard that come out of their mouth before.
They're like, nah, this is not going to be good.
Yeah. So
Wow.
so I think honestly, missing Cuevas is a very big piece because that is a safety valve for Ty Simpson. He's also great in the blocking scheme. He's a very, very talented tight end. And it just seems like in their games recently that Ryan Williams has been just like non-existent.
Yeah.
And so but I feel like if there's any game in which he reappears for like a couple deep shots, it's against us. And so it's all going to be about discipline. Having Kirby Smart and playing the same team twice.
Mm-hmm.
Is so massive for us. It's almost like Kirby's second half adjustments on steroids because we got to play them once already.
Yeah.
We know what they would most likely try to do. And I think that our defensive discipline has only gotten better throughout the year, and offensive play calling and execution have only peaked throughout the year. Our defense, when we were playing poorly, still held them to 0 second half points. We just couldn't put any on the board ourselves. I think the play calling is going to be tightened up. I think that guys are going to be flying around the field. I know that I think we want this game way more than they do. If I had to take a guess, they already beat us once. They're probably pissed at to play us again. And, just like the old saying goes, especially talk about college basketball, it's hard to beat the same team twice in the same season. We may play them a third time if it works out in the CFP. We'll see.
You say that, but in the history of
that.
the SEC, of the SEC championship game, the team that won the regular season match is 6-2 in the SEC championship. You know what those two differences are?
What's that?
2017 Georgia
and Auburn.
2021 Georgia.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Is that what?
So you've got history on your side.
Yeah, I was gonna say is that the
also
Auburn
working
game?
against you. So to the extent that it works against you, it also is in your favor. It's weird. Like typically, you have
it's very rare. Well, it was
75% chance of winning if you already won the first one.
Yeah.
But if you're going to win a game to a team that you lost to earlier in the regular season, Georgia's the team to do it. So
I said we've already proven it because our last win against them is still the 2021 national championship in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So I throughout the year, more and more, like the thoughts always crept back into my head. I'm like, yeah, I actually, you know what? I would like another shot at Alabama. Like, I think we can right that wrong. Like more and more, like this team is so unbelievably bought in, and they're playing their asses off. And when we have Gunnar Stockton at quarterback, I feel like there's like a sense of confidence that I probably would not have felt if the uncertainty with Carson Beck. Absolutely. Like like I said, we wouldn't even beat. I told you we would have had 4 of all the close games we were in this year. We would have lost at least 4 of them with Carson Beck. Like Carson Beck is not making. He might, but he's not leading that drive to tie the game against Tennessee. Or to win to take the lead against Tennessee. He's not bring us back against Florida.
To be honest, I think you're possibly in worse trouble before those
that's also true.
drives even happen.
Bigger holes.
Yeah, he might have dug you a hole.
Yeah, we've seen that before too.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the level of uncertainty that I had before we played Alabama the first time around is not there because of my belief in our coaching staff and our guys to take what we experienced in the regular season. It ended up being our only loss in the regular season. They ended our long-standing 40-plus game, 30-plus game home win streak.
Mm-hmm.
And I want this badly, and we're playing for a first-round bye. I kind of wish we could host a game in Athens this year, but in the playoffs.
But you don't want to root for that because
No,
that
we
means
don't.
you lose this game.
Absolutely not. Oh, we got someone coming in late. It looks like we'll let him in here in a second.
Mhm.
But yeah, dude, I'm very excited. I like 2.5 is like absolutely the line here, but we'll have to see. Do you have any thoughts here for me?
No, I mean I think so. It's you guys' ability to run the ball, and with Frazier and Bowens, and then also their Alabama that coupled with Alabama's struggles stopping the run, and then you guys run defense and your pass rush combined with Alabama's difficulty protecting Ty Simpson, hit with his propensity to hold on to the ball too long, and it really comes down to whether or not you guys can cover on the back end and keep them from getting big plays.
No, we can't. Our safeties have to be disciplined. They can't get sucked up front, like by Simpson's legs. Like we have to stay disciplined on deep.
The one good thing you have going for you is Alabama does not run the ball well, and so their ability to use play action effectively is going to be hampered by that. So it's going to really come down to that. Now, what's going to be interesting is playing this game on turf indoors. Maybe the speed of Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard kind of gives you guys a little bit of trouble on the back end. But that's really the only way I see this is Ty Simpson's got to play a near perfect game, and they've got to hit some big plays against you guys.
Right. We can't let them third down us to death like they did. They converted like third down after third down after third down. That was literally they just kept us off the field. We can't let that happen again. I don't think we will. I believe in this team. I want this badly. Like this, there's something very special about being able to have this matchup, like as a Georgia fan. Like, okay, we get another shot at it. And I know that they've been the victor most of the time, but it's like this is just like we get this matchup. It just means so much to be able to try to have another shot at beating them. You know what I mean? Like to me, this means more than any other team that we play on a yearly basis.
Yeah, well, and I think it bodes well. I think that the fan base and the team that's more excited to get the rematch is usually set up better than the team that's like, bro, we already did this. Why do we have to do this again? You know. Yeah. So some one matchup that isn't happening as a rematch because for whatever reason they don't all play each other. Anyway, we'll let bygones be bygones. We'll let Jeremiah come in and defend himself first. But Ohio State and Indiana,
1 versus
2 of the two remaining undefeated teams in the country are playing against each other. And Jeremiah has joined us, our local Ohio State homer. It looks like it's pretty chilly over there. It's pretty chilly down here too.
It's cold in Pennsylvania. It's like 28 degrees right now.
Yeah. So how you feeling about this one, Jeremiah?
I'm feeling okay about it, surprisingly. Usually I'm the glass is half empty guy. But I've been thinking a lot about this game, and I think, say what you want about, the schedule. We know Ohio State is going to play well against the better teams in the college football playoff. Win or lose, they're going to play well. Indiana, we don't know much about. I think this game is going to say a lot more about Indiana than it is Ohio State.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I think this is the opportunity for Fernando Mendoza to like either stamp his claim on the Heisman Trophy that is going to be awarded later on this weekend, but he's also potentially going to play himself right out of the running for that.
This is for both of them.
This goes.
This is for St. and Mendoza. Those are still like the top 2 odds-on favorites for the Heisman. Even though Pavia has like the better like conglomerate of stats, we won't get into that. But yeah, I think this is finally like
So do we think?
Sorry, go ahead.
Do we think the winning quarterback wins the Heisman? Is that a guarantee?
I don't think so necessarily, because I think so. What I was going to say is why I think it's more important for Mendoza is because I don't think Indiana wins without Mendoza having that Heisman type game.
To play well.
And I think that Ohio State can win without Sayin going crazy.
I think that is very true with the weapons, and I think that like Mendoza has a fair amount of weapons. Or like they don't beat Penn State without the most amazing catch of the season. You know what I mean? So but I think you're absolutely right that Ohio State has more of the weapons on their side. I think it's just very, like, there's an Ohio State fan that I hung out with recently. He's like, yeah, we start playing till January anyway. I was like, said whatever, man. But I think there's honestly a point where like they can like keep the playbook kind of like pretty vanilla because of the amount of talent that y'all have until now. They can just punch someone in the mouth. So we really like. I'm be willing to say that we didn't even know like the true potential of Ohio State, and also that Ohio State defense. Dude, Arvell Reese is a stud, dude. That is an unbelievable football player to watch play. That Ohio State defense is something crazy to watch, Jeremiah.
Oh yeah, 100%. What else crazy about this? You usually get into an Indiana game for like $30 on any other day, but the resale value on this game is like 600 is the minimum. It's crazy.
Dang, that's wild.
Ooh, that's in Indianapolis at night. I mean, hey, wow.
Well, one thing that's kind of intriguing about this one, and I know like and look, I'm not understand this is not this. I know we joke around a lot. It's a very healthy banter between the SEC contingent and the Big Ten contingent in terms of conference strength and all that stuff. But let's be real, like it's hard to tell for sure. You guys have one of, if not the top scoring defense in the country. Indiana ain't that far behind, and they're actually scoring a lot more than you guys are. But you do have to look at like, all right, but what are we talking about? Like the relative competition, is it as meaningful? They do have the one big win against Oregon, which really jumps out. I think Oregon's a very quality team, but we don't completely know about them either because they lost so much from that team last year. And so it's kind of hard to tell. I don't think either of these two teams have been tested on a consistent basis the way that where we can like really get a beat on it. I feel like we're getting like this huge reveal in this game of like, okay, will the real Big Ten champ please stand up? Because I don't know. Like I'm really kind of like, at least with Indiana, we know like, all right, it's fairly reasonable to assume they're better than Oregon because they handled them pretty convincingly. But with you guys, like it's the Michigan game, and then you had Washington on the road, USC, and you had the Texas game early in the season. But I think everybody would admit that Texas has been a roller coaster ride this year where you don't know what Jekyll and Hyde version of Texas you're going to get. The one that beat Texas A&M and made it look like they weren't even like a challenge for Texas, or was it the team that lost to Florida in the swamp, a Florida team that went 4-8? I don't know. Like which one of those two did you get? I'm not completely sure. So it's not.
That's the problem with playing those out of conference games like week one, because neither team is the same team they were now that they were then.
Not only that, but I think because I used to make this argument for a while about the Super Bowl, that like when you play in one of those really, really highly anticipated, a lot of pressure games early in the season, you haven't really had a chance to like establish your identity yet. I think there's a lot of stuff that like there's this tug of war between taking unnecessary risks because you're trying to like make something happen, and then on the other side of it, there's this like extreme conservatism where you don't want to lose the game by doing something stupid. And so what you end up with is like this, both teams are just kind of like waiting each other out, feeling each other out. And as long as the game stays close, they're okay with that. And then somebody just wins it in the fourth quarter. And you don't really know what that means. But like you play that game in November and it's an entirely different setup because you've been able to establish some sort of momentum in like, okay, well, this is what we do well. But I mean, hell, a lot of this stuff, you're trying to figure out guys who just transferred to you in May and where they fit into your defense, where they fit in on your offensive line, whatever the case may be. And I just wonder, how, especially in the transfer portal era, how reasonable and intelligent is it for us to even schedule these early season out of conference big time matchups? It probably isn't very smart. We probably should save those for October.
100% agree. Either save it for October if you can. I know a lot of these conferences are weird about playing a random out of conference game in the middle of their conference schedule, but at least push it back to week 3 or 4.
Yeah, let you
don't
get those
open your
cupcakes out of the way a few weeks first. They're never going to do that though, because TV wants those big matchups.
Michigan, Oklahoma gave it a week. Michigan, Oklahoma gave it a few weeks into the season before they played their matchup. I feel like they didn't play right away. Yeah, for us, like we've always
they played like week 2, I think. I want to say it was
for us. We've always played it like the kickoff game. Like we played Oregon and kicked the shit out of them in year 1 of the national championship, and we played Clemson, and it ended up being like people. It's a good point. People poo-pooed Clemson the year that we beat them, and then they won every single other game they played, and it ended up in the playoff anyway. So you never know. But I think going back to the original point, you're absolutely right. This is going to be the most authentic, no holds barred version of both of these teams because of what this matchup requires. And I think that this is going to be super special because Indiana finally gets to play in Indianapolis in Lucas Oil to play for the Big Ten. And I think that obviously like people have a different opinion on conference championships now that we have the playoff and the 12-team format and all this stuff. However, I think because of the way things have worked out against Michigan and Ohio State kind of missing a lot of opportunities at the Big Ten championship, I think that Ryan Day 1,000% has this circled as a list of accomplishments for this season. You know what I mean? I think that this still absolutely means something to them. I think that this is like this weird, like humble Ryan Day, and definitely not the Ryan Day who was shit talking Lou Holtz on national television. Like, I thought that like we didn't talk about. I thought that was very,
very mature and
very mature, and like the player, it very showed on the players, like the Michigan players were standing on the M defending it as if the Ohio State players were going to do something, and they're just celebrating with the fans. Like. Yeah. Pretty telling the mindset of this team going into this game. This is going to be a phenomenal game. This might end up being the best game of the weekend other than ours. I'll be honest with you.
Well, it's kind of like, Alabama fans don't storm the field because who are they going to storm the field for? Like, it's almost like it's a sign of if you don't go plant your flag in the middle of the M, it's kind of like, why would we do that? Yeah. We took care of it. Like we don't need to do that, little brother. That's what you do on our field because
exactly.
you need to make sure everybody knows that you finally got us or whatever it is, even though Michigan's had your number for a few years up until this year. But it definitely, and that's again, it goes back to what I said, if you remember, Jeremiah, last week when we were previewing this matchup with Michigan. I felt like the fact that it didn't cost you anything last year kind of broke through that psychological barrier to where the feel, the vibe was, no, we got this. Like we don't have to be afraid. I think like what I was talking about with those early season matchups and like a Super Bowl, I feel like Ohio State absolutely played that way against Michigan last year, where Ryan Day was trying to not blow it and just make it to where you could win the game in the fourth quarter, but you didn't. And this year, he was just like, no, to hell with that. We're going to beat the brakes off of them early and often, and we're not going to leave any doubt.
Yeah, it's almost like he channeled Urban Meyer's mindset going into that game because you didn't really see Ohio State play under Urban Meyer any differently against Michigan than they had all year against anybody else. Whereas like Ryan Day was almost like psyching himself out, like, oh, we're a passing team, but we're going to go in there and pound the rock, or just overthinking it. And I think you're right about that. Last year he went into that game just way too mentally not ready for it, and that weight has been kind of lifted, and you saw it in the way that they played.
Mm-hmm.
It's very clear when you're playing a game to win it as opposed to not lose it, as opposed to not James Franklining it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very clear. It's true. Like, and I'll be honest with you, that's like kind of the way Ohio State played Texas, and it's probably not to give out film. It's probably to do the bare minimum to win. There's a lot of different reasons,
and I think it's a little bit about the way it's the way Texas played Ohio State too, though.
It's
in that
true. Like
game.
neither one of them were trying to give it away. Like that's it. They were not. They were trying to win and beat up.
They were content to eat whichever way that game went. If it was a close game, neither one of them was going to really be hurt by it. Except that now we were finding out that Texas was definitely hurt by it because if they hadn't played that game at all, or if they had won, there would not be a conversation. They would absolutely be locked into the playoff, but they're not. So let's talk about the consequences of this game. We talked about it a little bit for the Georgia-Alabama game. Georgia's playing for a first-round bye, and Alabama's playing to stay in the tournament. If they lose, they could be out. They're probably not. If they lose badly, they actually are probably out. But I don't think they can earn their way into a first-round bye. With this game, though, depending on how close this game is, Indiana and Ohio State could both still end up with first-round byes.
I think they could both stay top 4 no matter who wins.
Yeah.
Especially if it's close.
I think if Indiana wins and it's anywhere close to the type of score they had with Oregon, it could possibly bump Ohio State out, and then you're in that.
It's 1 versus 2, though.
How do you take these two teams that Oregon and Ohio State and have one of them not get a bye and the other one get a bye? Do you just look at the fact that they got to the conference championship? Well, Oregon would have gotten to the conference championship if they hadn't played against Indiana, like Ohio State didn't. So it leaves a lot of questions for the committee. But I think if this game is a blowout in either direction, I think the team that gets blown out is out of the top 4. And so it's weird. It's like this. It's almost like we talked about this being a kind of go for broke and like make a statement. I don't know. There's a part of me that wonders if, psychologically speaking, and like keeping your players healthy and not revealing too much playbook wise and everything else, it's almost like this game is you can't possibly lose, because worst case scenario, you get a first round bye at home. I mean, you get a first round home game. Best case scenario, you get a bye and possibly the number 1 overall seed. Well, no, you would get the number 1 overall seed if you win this game.
Yeah, they are definitely playing to be number 1.
That's what you're playing for, really.
Yeah,
and so
whoever wins is number 1.
So to that extent, yes, it's worth it, but it's kind of like this sliding scale. Like, all right, well, let's really weigh that though. Like, what would I rather? Would I rather play the 8-9 game, or if I look at it, like, would I rather get number 7 or number 5? Because maybe you want Texas Tech instead of getting whoever the 8-9 game is, like Alabama and Notre Dame or something like that.
Last year, and kind of like how it's been set up lately, is like the number 1 team has like the toughest out, like as their semifinal or quarterfinal game.
They did last year, and it could be that way this year, because the way that the 8-9 is looking right now, it looks like it's going to be something like Alabama, Notre Dame, Oklahoma. Who else would be in there? Possibly Ole Miss,
BYU. Part of those teams.
Yeah. Depending on how that stuff goes. Yeah. Maybe even a Miami, if they get in, would be in that range, because your 11-12, your 10, 11, 12 is going to be, one of those teams, the one that's on the bottom of that, and then it's also going to be like your group of 5s and your ACC champ. That's going to be your 11 and 12.
But it's just kind of wild that we do have like a 1 versus 2 in this game. Like, it is kind of wild. Like, this is your pseudo BCS national championship game
from back in the day. Yeah,
like you have 1 versus 2.
Can you imagine? This was the BCS national championship.
Like, this is your pseudo. Like, it's crazy.
What's even more wild is when I asked AI, like, if you were going to cut 4 Big Ten teams from the Big Ten, pick the 4 with the lowest overall winning percentage overall, and Indiana is in that group of the lowest winning percentage of Big Ten teams. Right. And now, like, so, is this something that they can sustain? That's another going to be interesting thing to see.
As long as Cignetti's their coach, I'd say yes. With like you're putting all the success on film year in, year out. That just like cascades into more and more better recruits, more and more you know what I mean?
Well, we've talked about we've talked about the when you pull up the map of the talent that comes from each state in the union, and you look at like the density around Texas and California and Florida and Louisiana, and then you of course you have that in Ohio, but Indiana is actually not that far off when you look at like overall. It's kind of crazy. Like, you wouldn't think Indiana would be this hotbed of talent for, and it's not like it's not up there. It's not necessarily up there with but it's better than the talent in Minnesota or some of these other states. And so it's the talent within the state is somewhat there where you can build a little bit from like the local guy, and then a guy like a Signetti can go buy the Fernando Mendoza's and such to bring in to kind of round it out. I will say this: I'm impressed with the fact that it's not a completely different team, but it's a fairly significantly different roster from what he had last year, and no worse for wear.
They
are
seem more
right back
legit
in the
than
same
last year,
spot.
though. They don't. The last year was seemed like fool's gold, as Jeremiah likes to say, and seemed pretty fraudulent. This year, they've proven themselves so far. You know what I mean? Especially
right, but I'm just saying,
Oregon.
like the fact that I expected if there was going to be a fall off, it was going to be from last year to this year.
Totally
I thought
fair.
like last year would have been like, okay, last year was fool's gold. They had a good record, but they didn't play anybody. And then when they did, they got beat pretty badly. And now this year they would come in and not be able to do it. But they have the signature win in the Big Ten this year, beating Oregon.
Yep. And this is also Signetti trying to avenge his only regular season loss so far.
Since he's been
Indiana.
at Indiana, that's true. Yep.
This is his only regular season loss. So
yeah, and if Caleb Downs doesn't return a punt for a touchdown, maybe he's got a shot. I don't know.
Maybe.
Garbage
But you're
time
right. I think
touchdowns
there's
count,
enough talent around there. What's that?
I said garbage time touchdowns count. That score,
right? Yeah,
the score, he did not make it look better than it was. That's how good it was because garbage time touchdowns count.
But you're right. There's enough talent around there to where if you keep that coach around, you should be able to keep Indiana at minimum of an 8-win, 9-win football team every year.
1,000%. Yeah, I think especially with how much they're paying him, I think they're going to end up more like it's a 10-win team, like regardless. Especially with the way the Big Ten schedules shake out on a yearly basis. Anyway, we're not going to get into that. However, this is I'm actually very excited for this game. Because this is, like I said, nobody's hiding anymore. You can't, we're going to play Rutgers and we're going to run these 5 plays over and over and over again until we win. No, this is Ryan Day's got to get into his bag. Christian Day's got to get into his bag. You're going to have to see Julian Sand's best game, Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate's best game. You're going to have to see Fernando Mendoza's best game, Omar, the whole shebang.
Get to see which one of these defenses really for real. And
that Ohio State defense is nasty.
The pressure is on Indiana to prove that their defense is as for real as Ohio State's appears to be.
You guys got a bunch of athletic freaks on that Ohio State defense. It's actually concerning.
But guys, it was fun jumping on here with you real quick. I'm about to run in here to Sam's Club.
Woo! Groceries.
It's a madhouse in here, and it's Friday afternoon. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. And Black Friday lasts 2 months now, so I get it.
Yeah.
It's still, and now we don't have Cyber Monday. We have Cyber Week. So enjoy that, man.
Right.
Have fun. All right, man. Peace.
All right, brother.
All right, and for our next caller, and I'm kidding. I was like, that just felt like Paul.
Do we have anybody from Texas Tech who would like to join the show? Maybe Kalani Sataki is waiting online too.
Yeah, dude. Do you know how much
they go to Penn State? I know that much.
They pull together a literal and physical and hypothetical fake Hail Mary, going to the church and going to the CEO of Crumble Cookie and literally getting together all the cash they had on hand to keep him at BYU. It was literally like a sort, I guess, according to Liam Blutman, who's one of the best ball knowers in the land. He said there was like some sort of handshake deal between Penn State and Sataki, and BYU said, no, my friend, we got the power of God on our side, so we're gonna go talk to him and find some money for you. Just give us one moment, and that's exactly what they did. But all in all, they're playing once again. Do you see this game any bit differently than the first time around that they played, Chad?
I don't. I think Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech is that good.
They are that good.
Yeah. And I think BYU and I know that I've seen the comparisons where they're showing like Notre Dame's big win and Miami's big wins and comparing that to BYU's big win and it's just like, all right, look, man, I get it, but it's kind of like what we talk about and I know Jeremiah's not here to defend himself or his very top-heavy conference, but it's very similar. Like when you play a Big 12 schedule, like you beat the 15th ranked team in the country, but some of the stuff with those rankings is like, well, yeah, but when you only have 3 teams ranked in your conference, one of you is going to have one loss. One of you is going to have two losses. Well, apparently two of them are going to have one loss. Texas Tech should not have lost to Arizona State, but they did. An Arizona State team that lost to Mississippi State, who won one conference game this year in the SEC. But they beat Arizona State, and Arizona State beat Texas Tech. So how good really is Texas Tech? I don't know, but I think they're good enough to beat the brakes off of BYU again, because that game was not even close.
No,
It was like they boat raced them, and just like it was like, a grown up holding a little kid while he's trying to swing his little midget arms at you. It's not. It's going to be tough for BYU to get this done.
It's funny, like I say it a lot. Like when Oklahoma and Texas left the Big 12, the other teams were like, "Oh my God, are they gone? Oh my, did they actually leave?" And then it's been like this last couple of years that them trying to like discern, like, okay, who's going to be the new perennial power,
right?
And it's kind of like a hot potato as far as like the Big 12 powers, just because of like the changing of players and things like that. And you had, Utah's always kind of been there, but they haven't been able to break through. They've been Utah's probably like the most consistent Big 12 team, even though they haven't like been in the championship. And then Texas Tech went the Ohio State route, said, "Now we're just gonna build the most expensive defense in the country." And we'll see
last year even didn't Kenny Dillingham take the team that was picked to finish last?
No,
in the
that's
Big
what
12 and win the conference. So
yes,
it's like
he took the literal odds-on last place team in the Big 12, and they won the conference, and almost went to the national championship college football quarterfinals.
The semifinals. Yeah, well, no, the semis. They lost to Texas in the quarters.
That's right. Yes,
and it was like an overtime heartbreak game.
Yeah, you're right. You're very much right.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I don't. So now you have Texas Tech. Who knows? I'm still waiting. It's funny, right? Like I would have put money on it that when Oklahoma and Texas left, but this is Oklahoma State's conference. No, unfortunately not. We'll see with the new coach. But
shout out to Mike Gundy. Good luck,
shout out to Mike Gundy. He's a man. He's 40 and he's unemployed.
It's like 60 now, but yeah.
He is like 60 now. But no, Chad. The clip lives forever. He's always 40. He always has hair, and it's not gray. Anyway,
but it's Baron Morton against Bear Brockmeyer all over again.
Yeah,
and,
I don't see this game going any other way. I think you'll see Baron Morton hosting. I think it's funny that like the Big 12 has like this weird partnership with like the WWE, and they will you get like a title belt for the Big 12 championship. So I foresee Texas Tech holding that up and most likely securing a first round bye. I thought since the beginning, like if Texas Tech is your Big 12 champ, there's zero reason why they shouldn't be a top 4 team, and it looks like it's coming true.
If somebody can, if they can somehow, BYU can somehow find a way to turn this into which quarterback is going to run better sort of matchup, then they've got this one in the bag, because so far this year, Baron Morton has 33 carries for minus 79 yards. Pretty sure that's all sacks. Let's see. It's I know he's only been sacked 15 times for 141 yards. So he does have 19 carries for some positive yards in there. But do you want to hear Mr. Bear Bachmeyer's rushing stats? 137 carries for 529 yards and 11 tuds. So yeah, like I said, if they can turn this into a grinded out run your quarterback. I'm joking. That's not. Why would TCU do that? I mean, the TCU, Texas Tech. See, that's another one. TCU. Where did they go? But
true.
Yeah,
we took care of that. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah. That's. But no, Texas Tech. Their defense is. I think their defense is for real. It's legit, and they are right there. The big question is, if you're Texas Tech, what would you rather? What is more important to the college football universe, and what is more important to the Red Raider faithful? Do you want that first round bye, or do you want to hail tortillas down in a home game in round one? Right now, they are the number 4 seed, and so it would take, they'd have to lose this game, and at that point, if they do lose this game, now you're looking at, is it possible that they could fall all the way out?
No,
or do they end up bouncing? Do they bounce somebody like an Alabama or
Maybe.
Notre Dame
The
out.
committee's going to use their eye test. There's zero. I'm telling you, zero chance Texas Tech misses the.
So you're
playoff.
saying they're guaranteed a spot?
Yes, I said the eye test is going to not let them out. That'd be crazy. That's
Okay.
that's how I feel.
So then, if they lose, do they?
I think
do
you
they
get two
host a
Big 12
game?
teams in.
Do they host a game, or do they go on the road?
I think it depends on who. I think it's going to depend on what the committee wants and what ESPN wants at that point.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. All right. Well, don't forget about the TV show. That's correct.
Can't, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. So moving right along. Speaking of TV shows that
The
suck,
ACC basketball semifinals. Oh wait,
yes.
no, this is a football game happening tomorrow night. Got it. Okay.
Don't let that 7-5 record fool you. That's just because Duke can't beat anybody outside the ACC.
It can't be UConn.
It is insane. And I try to tell people when people were talking shit about Illinois beating Duke, I was like, Illinois sucks because Duke also sucks because Tulane beat Duke. Do we want to hear the 3 losses that Duke has suffered?
Do.
So they lost to Illinois, Tulane out of conference. They lost to UConn out of conference.
Sure did.
And then they lost to Virginia and Georgia Tech within the conference. The Virginia loss was at home, and they lost by, well, they got doubled up, 34-17. And really, that game was a little uglier than that because it was 31-3 late in the third quarter. So, I just wonder, does Duke really have a chance? And are we actually going to see, like, this is crazy. We thought it was like this big upset when Virginia beat Florida State early in the year.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Now it turns out Florida State just sucked, and Virginia was kind of okay, good enough to.
UVA is trying to cough up. Well, and it's funny. You and I talked about this as as a passing point, and we didn't think it was going to be relevant after that passing point. But UVA played North Carolina State and lost, but it didn't count as a conference game. And we're like, oh, that's funny. Didn't think that would actually be the difference between them being in the conference title game versus not, which is actually like insane when you think about it. So when these two teams played last time, I was like, oh, Darian Mentes probably the better quarterback, so I'm going to go with them. Clearly, that did not matter at all because Duke can't play defense apparently.
Yeah, but
go
ahead. If somehow, and there are people who claim that it's stupid that these teams are playing each other because the way that they select the ACC champ is idiotic. And I'm not saying it's not idiotic that Duke is in this game with 3 out of conference losses, but it is what it is. Your conference is not that good, and that's why one of the teams in your conference championship has 3 losses outside the conference because they're that bad. But the way that Duke got into this game is legitimate. All they have looked at is if you don't play each other head to head, and there are 5 teams with 2 losses, okay? Duke, Miami, Georgia Tech, SMU, and Pitt all have 2 losses in the conference. The only thing they can do, you can't possibly do head to head because all those teams didn't play each other.
Right.
And it's harder to find like common opponents that they've all 5 played. So the only tiebreaker you can possibly go to is the winning percentage of your conference opponents. And Duke happens to have the only 500 record for their opponents within the conference. And everybody else is, Miami's at 43%, and everybody else is that or worse. And so this is how the standings shake out. Virginia with that 1 loss, even though, yes, like you said, they lost to NC State in week 2, but it didn't count because it's not a conference game. Even though it was a conference opponent, it wasn't a scheduled conference game. It's just some old rivalry that they have that they didn't want to lose.
There wasn't a game. There wasn't an opponent for either one of them, so they said, "Let's play each other."
Yeah. So otherwise, they would be in this tiebreaker too, and you'd have 6 2-loss teams, and then who knows? Maybe Miami would be playing Duke for this thing. But what's crazy about this is, Tyler, if Virginia wins this game, the ACC gets a team in the tournament.
Is that like a for sure? Like, UVA can represent.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like it's because they're already Virginia's already up there, where they're around, if not ahead of all. Yeah, they're ranked 17th, and Tulane is 20th. North Texas is 24th, and James Madison is 25th. So Virginia wins this game, they stay, and they make it in as the 11 seed, and then the group of 5 gets the 12 seed. If Duke, however, wins this game, they are not in the top 25 right now.
Doomsday scenario.
They are not passing up Tulane. And I think if North Texas wins, I think North Texas probably takes over. Let's go to that game. So right now, Tulane is ranked where they are. And the reason with 2 losses why they're ranked ahead of North Texas, who only has 1 loss, is that second loss for Tulane is actually against Ole Miss, who is like the number 6 team in the playoff committee rankings. And also, Tulane does have that win against Duke in the regular season as well. So they have more quality wins than North Texas has with that big. And they also beat the brakes off of Northwestern 23-3. And again, this is where I go to like, okay, Big Ten, if you really want to prove to us that you're good and that your conference is deep and that it's not just a bunch of garbage for the bottom 6 to 8 teams, at least the bottom 4 are absolute trash. And it's kind of skimming the bottom of the barrel. Meanwhile, the SEC has like tough opponents and tough places to play all the way down to the bottom. Even the dregs of the SEC are still better. This is evidence for you right here. Northwestern lost 23-3 when they played Tulane. They scored 3 points against Tulane. So I don't want to hear it. Anyway, shout out to John Sumrall. He is the new Florida head coach. The SEC is just going to keep getting tougher because we're finally stopping the retread. Let's go get Hugh Freeze. Let's go get Bobby Petrino, like
seriously.
All these guys.
Oh my gosh.
Like, let's try to capture the old glory. Hey man, what if I draft Calvin Johnson? What if he comes out of retirement? No, stop trying to capture old glory. It's not here anymore.
I talked about that in my coaching hiring theory about where you can go. And I think that a coach like Summerall and Eric Morris of North Texas is now going to go coach at Oklahoma State. Those are the guys you want to look at, in my opinion.
Right. So anyway, the winner of this game is in. And, unless something crazy happens where they do something where they give this team, James Madison, if they blow out Troy and somehow the committee jumps them ahead of North Texas who beats Tulane. I think, Tulane wins. They're absolutely getting the 12 seed at minimum. They could get the 11 if Duke wins, because then you would have James Madison, if they win, taking the 12 seed. What you don't want is for James Madison to lose this game, because then you'll have you'll give the ACC that window to get Duke in if Duke loses. But you could actually have 2 group of 5 teams in the playoff if James Madison and whoever wins the American, they would get in as well. But I want to say a little shout out. Speaking of coaches, Billy Napier, you can take Billy Napier out of the Sunbelt, but you can't take the Sunbelt out of Billy Napier, so you might as well just bring him back to the Sunbelt.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He was Sunbelt Billy when he was at Florida, and now he gets to be Sunbelt Billy again because he is the new James Madison head coach.
JMU has had hit for hit when it comes to their coaches. Yeah. They had Kurt Signetti, banger. Bob Chastity, banger. And now you bring Billy Napier back to the Sunbelt. I don't see a way that honestly to me is a great hire.
Yeah.
I don't think that Billy Napier is a bad coach by any stretch of the imagination. I say that this might be where he belongs.
Right.
As far as the previous game, Tulane North Texas, I don't know who's going to win it, but give me the over. That's a guarantee. There'll be a lot of points in that game. This one, I don't see any possible way that Jamie doesn't just beat the ever-loving shit out of Troy. JMU is the far and away best team, and it's actually crazy, the ascension of JMU over the past 10 years. They went from FCS national champs to then getting finally becoming a full-on FBS team. And then it was actually funny because they had such a good record, they were bowl eligible when they were even allowed to play in a bowl. And now they're finally here and they're cooking. Their only loss, mind you, everybody, was to Louisville in Louisville, and they were in that game the entire way until the end. Just saying. So, and that was when Louisville was at full strength and was healthy. The same Louisville team that beat Miami. Just so we
This
know.
is a really weird spread / over-under combo here. I'm trying to figure out the implied score here, and it is weird.
Yeah.
So with an over-under of 46.5 and a projected spread of 23.5, that means that the implied score is something like 36.5 to 13. No, that's not right. That's not right. 35.5 to 12.5 to 12. Yes. 35.5 to 12. No, that's not even right. It's 35 to 13.5. No, 12.5, 11.5. Yeah. 35 to 11.5 is the implied score here. So anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know where they're going to get those 11 points from, but yeah, 35 to 10, 35 to 14, something like that is what they're thinking with this game.
We might see a 40-50 burger. I'm telling you, Chad, we might see a 40-50 burger on the hands
JMU,
of JMU.
And if they do that, that's where I'm saying, like, if they do that and then North Texas wins a like scrape out fest in the American, you could have JMU actually jump North Texas.
What's crazy is if JMU doesn't play Louisville and just plays some other team and beats them and isn't undefeated, has destroyed everybody, conference champ, then we're talking about them so different. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I see no reason why JMU doesn't just absolutely dog walk Troy. That's kind of what I'm feeling. Go Dukes, man.
There you go.
I think they get to host this game too, so there's zero. You know what I mean? They get to have it in their home stadium. So, yeah, man. Conference championships are once again here. It's finally we're coming down to it. We'll have Selection Sunday, and yeah, we're here.
And we're just waiting for next season in LSU country. But we're excited about next season because we got Lane Kiffin and we got a really good recruiting class coming in. We'll talk about recruiting coming up after all this stuff is over. So. And Tyler is frozen with 2 thumbs up. What a way to freeze. Now he's back. All right. You were frozen on the screen with your thumbs up.
Well, we appreciate it. We're going to try.
Oh. Ladies and gentlemen. Was to eat. Our intent was to come eat and be hungry.
We're taking receipts, and we'll see you at the national championship.